He is very good.
That's definitely going to favor Drew here. If you're playing against something like blue-white, Caleb's deck would be better positioned. So, with them playing very similar decks, I don't think that small of a difference is really going to necessarily show up, but it could.
I have not yet seen the clean-shaven Caleb.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
That is quite a difference. I'm used to him with the beard.
Caleb is a pretty talented player. He top-8'd 2 Grand Prix in a row.
2 Grand Prix in a row, but because, of course, of the change of how Grand Prix work, he is not qualified for Pro Tour Avison Restored. I believe he also seconded a PTQ between those 2 Grand Prix.
Yeah, so that's got to be a little frustrating.
That does have to be frustrating. Hopefully he'll have some better luck today, and it won't qualify him for Pro Tour Avison Restored, but maybe at the end of this tournament he'll have a nice big check to take home. Maybe a novelty check. We all like novelty checks.
Nobody loves a novelty check more than Chris Lockman. I can tell you that right now.
Check?
Yeah, I still have the novelty check too, but his novelty check is he actually got a table for his living room that's glass on the top, and the novelty check is inside of the table. So whenever you're there, like basically it's just like the centerpiece of everything.
Right.
And he claims to snuggle with it on a regular basis.
You could get it made into like a blanket or a pillow or something.
You can have it like softened up.
Yeah, like
like
somehow
screen printed onto like a towel.
Yeah, and just
like dry yourself with it.
Oh man, I don't know about a towel. That is some great tech. All right, so Caleb, it looks like has on the play. First turn, Tropical Island. That's to be expected. And looks like we're gonna have a Mongoose or a Mongoose over Delver on this one. Mongoose is probably the better creature overall in this matchup, being it largely impossible for either player to actually kill their opposing Mongoose, barring their own Mongoose or Tarmogoyf. And of course, Drew, in that battle is up on Tarmogoyfs.
It's a pretty cool trop.
What is going? Oh, it must be an altered, extended art trop.
Extended art Tropical Island. You just make something up, like, oh, you got those if you top-8'd Turkish nationals.
Turkish national 97.
Yeah, 97.
The match was huge in Turkey in 97. After that, though, it just died off. I don't know why. They gave out tropical islands. What else do these people want? Caleb, similarly full of 1 cast and cost spells. Let's say it's 1 Ponder, 2 Brainstorm, and the red card might be a Bolt. It might be something else. He's going to Brainstorm. Not sure if AJ Soccer would approve of that Brainstorm.
I don't think he would.
The old main phase Brainstorm without the opportunity to play a fetch.
He has another Brainstorm in his hand. He's also looking to fill his graveyard for the Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah.
He could have gone for the Ponder instead, but...
Well, if he has, I guess he only has 1 Tomb Scour or Thought Scour. If he has a Thought Scour here, that'd be very good. But Ponder is...
I'm surprised he did it in that order.
Yeah. Oh, looks like he's choosing the shuffle. That's why he did in that order.
And that makes sense.
Yeah. Both these players with wristbands on, which is part of the security this weekend.
Yeah, that's a great thing. There have been the Grand Prix that just happened here in Baltimore. There were some problems with people losing cards and even collections.
Yeah. And some better security today. If you come with a bag, you're going to get a wristband to make sure that you're leaving with that bag. So it's a nice system. I like that they implemented that. So again, Caleb shuffles and then passes back. Volcanic into Delver. Can't really see what's in Drew's hand. Looks like he has
I don't
Spell
have a
Pierce.
good glimpse yet. I think he has at least a Brainstorm.
One of Caleb's Stifles is in his hand, which is, of course, the card we just talked about as his choice over Spell Snare. More main phase Brainstorms. Looks like he picked up a Wasteland as one of his cards.
Is that a Predict? Does he play Predict? He does have one Predict. Oh, nice. I sniped that one.
Predict is quite good with Delver involved.
Predict's just a pretty good card.
Yeah, yeah. Man, when you hit off Predict, you feel so good. Wasteland is that. Taking out the Tropical. Up to 5 cards in Caleb's graveyard, so he is 2 away from Threshold. Yeah, Drew insta blocks. He does not want to see that Mongoose getting larger. A little surprised Caleb attacked there. You know, I figured he would just give it a turn or two and let it grow all the way.
Drew playing around Stifle there wisely. Yeah, with the Caleb's got to go for the Predict this turn while he knows.
I imagine he'd have to. I mean, the real worry for Caleb is that with that Mongoose dead, he doesn't have any creatures at this point to do anything.
And one thing that's nice too about this play by Caleb, like being able to predict in response to the Thought Scour, is that if Drew had sacrificed this Misty Rainforest in order to, say, Spell Snare that, then he would be able to daze the Scour, and it just gives him a lot of value.
Looks like Drew sacks it in response to the to Caleb searching. Oh, in response, Caleb dazes the Thought Scour. These are like those old Legacy decks of yesteryear where they didn't really do anything except for prevent things from happening to them and daze and stifle.
Caleb does need to search for a land, though.
He should. He does. I think Drew's is still on the stack first.
Yeah.
Because he's sacked in response to Caleb doing it to get around stifle. So, yep, there goes Caleb. And imagine Tropical here. I would like his board a lot better with a Mongoose on it.
I would
I have
too.
to say. I still do not get that attack. Oh, and Wasteland takes out the Tropical. He might have to stifle this.
I have a feeling this stifle is going to get.
Oh no, he just floats.
He does have another chop in hand, so.
Oh, okay, he does. So he's
I'm
not
actually surprised that Drew did to that because he saw him daze the chop back to his hand.
Tarmogoyf. No, I'm pretty sure Drew has a Spell Snare, so. He also has a Spell Pierce. Ooh, dazing it first. Pretty hard for Caleb to force will this back.
Yeah, that's a rough force.
Yep, Spell Pierce.
Yeah, Caleb's now behind a lot of cards because, you know, with that force and being on the play here, I mean.
He is, the Predict helped him out a little bit, but he's just having such a hard time finding a threat. Wasteland takes out then Drew's Tropical once again. So, yeah, floating. Green Sun for 1, which gets Spell Pierced. And looks like Caleb's down to 2 cards, and Drew has 3.
Plus his draw step, right?
Right, plus his draw step. Now Caleb's 2 cards are Brainstorm and Lightning Bolt. Not see what Drew has.
This is an interesting scenario for both of these players.
Yeah, I mean, they're both just sort of...
It's funny because normally when you watch the Rug deck play, it's not a mirror. So it's this like super tempo-oriented deck. And the mirror just nothing happens. It's just Tarmogoyfs that bounce off each other, and like all the Delvers die, and
it's just one of those games where it's both players' decks just don't do anything other than stop their opponent's decks, and so when they play each other, like they're sort of knocking these like blunt objects against each other. But is this going to be a Mongoose? Yes,
I think so, and that's probably going to stick.
I imagine it will. He's just up by so many lands. I guess so many being 2 isn't a lot, but this is gonna be hard, rough for Drew. He needs a Tarmogoyf on the table pretty soon.
Yeah, and I like that main phase Brainstorm. This is where you really need to pull the trigger.
Yeah, he needs to do something this game.
No land. Yeah, and now he's locked himself up with the Brainstorm too.
Yep. This is a rough turn for Drew. And I think you're right. I think you do have to do it there because you just need to. You can't let yourself get knocked down too far. Both players are just have their hands very full of bolts. There's just so many in this matchup, and they're not particularly good. You get down to 10, and all of a sudden you're well within burn range. Should we know though? Looks like Caleb has gone for Fork Bolt over, and Drew has gone for Chain Lightning. Interesting.
Yeah, there are subtle differences in between each of their lists.
Yeah.
I do like to predict a lot.
Predict
is really good against Counterbalance too.
It is. It's very good. It's good against so much stuff. I mean, the worst part about it against Counterbalance is that if they have a top in play, they get to choose whether or not you're going to name correctly to an extent. Unless you have the real read on them. Hard casting a Force. When you're hard casting a Force against one land, things are not going well for the other player.
It's true.
And if Drew finishes drawing through these locked cards and checks the next 3, there is 2 lands in the next 3. So he's going to put some burn back on top, it looks like. I imagine he'll be sacking this to get a tropical.
Problem is if he tries to use the fetch land, then Caleb has Stifles.
No, that's true. Yeah, the problem is that in his 1 land left is as a Volcanic. So, yep, Stifle. I guess you could wait until next turn to do it. He's got a Force. Well, he can Force back. Ooh.
Yeah, and sometimes you just gotta force a Stifle.
Sometimes. Drew Levin with a very nice tropical there.
Wow.
I think it's foreign black border though. I don't think it's beta.
Is it? Yeah, it's foreign. Okay. Still.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. So for a second there, I was. Woo.
It's only like a $400 tropical island, not a whatever.
Multiple thousand, whatever it is. I recently sold a beta Tundra. I was very happy about that.
I imagine you would be.
I didn't know it was worth that much money.
Oh wow! So this turn, Drew's turn is Tarmogoyf and Delver. I mean,
Drew's
out of nowhere. That being able to trade Mongoose right there. It is now all of a sudden it's pretty rough for Caleb. Now we can kill the Delver, no problem. Oh, kills Tarmogoyf, no problem. Delver does not flip, but it gets in their Delver.
Caleb's actually pretty flooded this game.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like 5 lands on turn million is flooded, but when you're playing a deck that's like just playing a ton of fetch lands and no actual mana producing lands,
right?
It's pretty hard to draw that many.
Caleb gets his own Delver, but Drew again doesn't flip. If you're Caleb, do you trade here?
I think your plan is to for him to keep whiffing, and you want to hit before he does.
Fair.
Yeah.
He also has Snapcaster, which is going to be at this point, drawing a Snapcaster would be just humongous.
Yeah, I mean, if he can Snapcaster Fork Bolt, it's.
Ooh, and it flips. No, he's going to stifle the second trigger. Keep him from flipping that one. Drew's Ponder gets a Force of Will, is that a Tarmogoyf?
And a Delver.
Wow.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, he is just drawing the heat every single turn.
And now again, wow, this is a back and forth game. This game is pretty solid for a game where one player...
For as bad as it looked for Drew for so long, I mean, Caleb just couldn't do anything. He allowed his Mongoose to trade really early, and then he just couldn't find a backup, and by the time he did, it wasn't enough to actually kill Drew Levin. I think we're trying to figure out how big everything is. Yep, and he draws a Mongoose. And he can attack with this Delver, but I don't think he wants to trade Delvers. I think he wants to somehow be up a Delver.
Yeah, I mean, well, he knows Drew's going to have double Delver next turn, too.
Yeah.
Or double Insectile Aberration, because he just pondered.
Yeah.
And if you're playing Rug and you ponder, it's pretty unlikely.
If he does not reveal here, things are going of course. Ugh. Things are going pretty poorly if you don't reveal there.
If you don't reveal there, like, why didn't you shuffle?
Right, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. What has to be on top of there? Just Goyf, Goyf, Goyf?
Yeah, then
you couldn't even do it then because you only have one tropical, and if he randomly plays a wasteland and kills a trop, you're just like, well, the next 3 trop is going to be very awkward for me. And they come, and Caleb just doesn't have a good block here, I'm not sure how big those Tarmogoyfs are. I imagine 4 or 5s.
So...
Instant land, creature, sorcery.
Takes it, he just goes to 10, right?
4 or 5. 8, 9, 10, 11. He goes to 1. Oh no, yeah, right, 10.
So...
And I think you just take it and hope
you draw a burn spell.
Yeah. He does, and
he doesn't.
Yep, does not draw a burn spell. Drew Levin, first game in the Rug Delver Mirror. That was a good game. That was a good game.
It was very back and forth.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though. It all came down to Caleb trading that Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah.
Early on,
trading it for a Delver that very soon after that, he has a lot of burn in his deck to deal with that Delver. And, just couldn't, he could have killed that pretty easily and then just been sailing over after turn, but does not always happen.
Yeah, now Drew has a Life in the Loam in his sideboard, which could be really huge here.
That could be huge. He also has the much talked about Sulfur Elemental, which will not come out here. The big difference, and this is Caleb has gone with a different sideboarding plan. He's got these counterbalanced top sideboard, which I think is pretty big in this mirror.
Very big. Everything's a 1 or a 2.
Yeah.
Everything.
So I imagine he'll be boarding that in. And that's about all he really has. He can bring in some merges if you'd like, though I think they're only going to hit Drew's Tarmogoyf, so...
And Delvers.
Oh, it's true, it's true.
Yeah, it's only if he controls a forest, right?
Right.
It's not...
It
doesn't have to be green.
Forest.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually thought that, Drew has 4 Submerge and Caleb only has 3, which is pretty good. I think if Submerge is going to be turned on in a matchup where you're both swinging at each other, it's so brutal.
It is. It's like, it's obviously free for mana, but it's also, +1 card. Because they have to redraw it. And sometimes they don't want to redraw it. Sometimes you just get some, creature that, like the Tarmogoyf's not incredibly important right now because you're just battling a Delver overhead and you just, draw
it's clear that they can't deal with what you have.
Yeah.
You just submerge their guy and then...
Keep drawing it.
Draw it again.
Right. Now, he also has Scavenging Ooze, which I think is probably pretty good in this mirror.
Gotta be really good, right?
Just keeping your opponent
off threshold, things like that.
Keeping him off threshold, keeping Caleb with the Snapcasters actually does have to rebuy stuff. Plus, it can get large fairly quickly. There's not a whole lot of creatures in either of these decks, so it's not gonna just get gigantic after 2 turns. But if you can get out of bolt range, If you can get out of bolt range, you can get bigger than Torment Wave pretty easily. That's just the hard part, because both players will have lightning bolts. Anything that you think needs to come out in this matchup?
It's weird. The sideboarding heavily depends on how your opponent is sideboarding.
That's true.
So,
and whether or not Drew knows that Caleb has gone with the counterbalance plan, which is not an uncommon plan, but you have to know they're on it.
The nice thing for Drew is that he has some leeway. You know, he has one game.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if he loses counterbalance in game 2, then he can be set up for it.
All right, he can switch out his.
He can be on the play and be ready for it. He can be on the
Right.
play and still have his spell snares and his dazes and.
Yeah. Man. Do you leave the stifles in, or the stifles what you take out for the counterbalance package? Because they don't seem. I mean, if you hit their dual lands, hit their fetch lands, they seem awesome. But I mean, when you have to stifle a Delver trigger,
It's pretty awkward.
it's pretty awkward.
Yeah.
I'd rather not do that.
Kind of worse than healing salve.
Yeah, a little bit, just slightly, just slightly. But I think those will probably come out. I don't know. It's probably going to get so saucy to actually bring in Sulfuric Vortex, but
Sulfuric Vortex is kind of sweet though.
it's very sweet. I'm excited to see what that's. I mean, I'm sure it's going to deck with Batterskull, but I'm excited to see that deck, that card, see play. This, you know, it's pretty much only really seen play in Cube over the last few years. So I guess the mono red deck's been playing it, but that is not a fun card. If you're
not a fun card.
If you're on the receiving end of it, at least, if you're on the applying end of the Sulfuric Vortex, you are happy as can be.
Yeah.
What do you got? 8?
Smile City.
What do you got? 8 Sulfuric Vortex. Good luck with this one.
Yeah, sitting in your high rise in Smile City, sending letters to your opponent who's just wallowing in Frown Town.
Yeah.
You know, you're just.
Oh, guess what I found? Another Sulfuric Vortex. How you like that one? I'm having fun up here.
Well, it's a Loxodon Hierarch. Cool.
Nice card, bro.
Nice card.
Oh, Batterskull. Huh? I had one of those once. I gave it up. Wasn't good enough. Caleb is down to 6.
Mulliganing is really bad in this mirror.
It is.
I've played this deck a little bit. I play blue-white when I play Legacy. I basically have since Snapcaster got printed. I've played blue-white. Riptide Lad is my favorite card of all time, so
It's a good card.
that probably explains why I'm playing blue-white religiously. But I have played the Rug deck in between because people have told me it was better, and I don't think they're right anymore. But I've played a lot of the Rug Mirror as a result, and
It's pretty miserable.
it's miserable. Mulliganing is horrid in this mirror.
Yeah.
Caleb is very good at Legacy, and he knows that.
Yeah, he is somebody else who is certainly best known for Legacy. Now, if both decks had like Stifle, that's when I found that Mulliganing was just the most like the highest variance, because sometimes you draw you draw your 6, and you draw Stifles, and they end up not doing anything. Or alternatively, you can Mulligan and then have just a fetch land, crack at turn 1, and just get Stifled, and it just adds this tremendous variance that's so hard to deal with. But we're not going to necessarily. Oh, Caleb is down to 5.
Ooh.
Not looking good.
Not looking like our game is going to be as exciting as game 1, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, if he just goes turn 1 top, turn 2 counterbalance,
Yeah, that.
and Drew doesn't have a response,
No.
yeah, you know, he could just win off the base of that.
That's hard to do without Drew having a response. So Drew has Force, Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, and
We're living in magical Christmas land where
Power Blasts.
where Drew has no cards of any relevance whatsoever.
Yeah. And the top 10 cards of his deck could just be lands.
They could all be lands.
And then Caleb doesn't even need the counterbalance tap.
Nope. And Caleb will actually mill him out with a combination of Predict and his 1 Thought Scour.
Yeah. 1/0
That's
cards.
how this match is going to go.
My prediction.
Opening up with a Ponder, which shows... Is that Ponder? definitely a fetch. It's definitely a Scalding Tarn.
Isn't that the worst when you ponder on turn 1 and you look to see what you have in your hand and it's only 3 cards? You're like, oh man.
Yeah. I hate when I ponder into ponders because I'm always just like, because I know I want them, but it's probably not best to take them. So Caleb gets his first land, is Volcanic Island Wasteland, but he does have a Scalding Tarn. Drew does the Stifle check. The classic legacy move of putting your fetch land in the graveyard and going, response? Caleb, by the way, not a response.
That's something that was significantly more common in the beginning of Legacy.
Yes.
Now, Stifle is a card that people play from time to time, but back in the beginning of Legacy, it didn't matter what you were playing or what your opponent was playing. Every time you sacrificed the fetch land, you had to wait, and then they would tank whether or not they had it.
Every time you did anything, you're just like Stifle. It's kind of like when people are real gun shy about counter spells. They're like counter. Every time you do anything, and you're like, I'll tell you when I'm countering it. Everything you did Stifle. You're like Stifle. Mother of Ruin, Stifle. Nope, I'll allow it to resolve. Okay. So Caleb plays a Brainstorm. First he dazed the Mongoose and plays a Brainstorm. He has 2 lands in his hand now. Wastes Drew's Tropical. And Drew has another land yet still. So yeah, Caleb, considering going down to 5, not that bad off. But Drew is probably going to sack this, go to Tropical, and play a Mongoose, or let's say it's a Delver in his hand. Nope, he does.
I think it's a Tarmogoyf.
Oh, it's a Tarmogoyf.
Yeah. Tarmogoyf's 4/5 already.
Yeah, he is.
Surprised he didn't play the Tarmogoyf.
I think he just doesn't want to get dazed out.
That makes sense. I mean, if you have the extra land, you might as well just wait a turn.
You're so far ahead that you just can't play into any cards that let Caleb.
Yeah, on the draw with your opponent down 2 cards, it's just...
Yeah.
Alright.
Caleb up to 2 lands. I think he has a Goyf in his hand too. Yes, he does. And another Wasteland takes out the Tropical. Blind Predict.
Ooh, I hope he hits.
Oh, it's so great when you hit the Blind Predict.
Because if he hits, then not only did he hit, but he's kind of back in the game.
He is. He's up. He's up another card.
Yeah. Still not great, but better than it is now.
Yes, much better. So he's looking through the graveyards, I think, trying to get the best chances. And what does he name? Well, we flipped the Scavenging Ooze.
So we're pretty sure he didn't name that. It's
No, did not name Scavenging Ooze. But it's good that Drew did not draw the Scavenging Ooze there, I imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, correcting him that the Tropical is in fact dead from the Wasteland. And yet another Brainstorm. We've seen several Brainstorms this match.
Lots of brainstorming happening.
I feel like they spent more time looking at the top 3 cards of their deck than they have looking at the rest of their hand. Tarmogoyf, only one up for Caleb. He can sack the fetch land. If he had, well, but if he had something, but he does not. Looks like he's going to Brainstorm, possibly looking for a force. Drew is just playing around these stifles. Very careful about it.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
That's what you want to be doing here.
He's pretty convinced it looks like that Caleb has a stifle. He's trying his best to play around it. Though he did open himself up to daze right there. Shuffling through those decks. And Drew Drew's trying to confirm that Tarmogoyf does in fact resolve, and it does. Caleb is going to have to jam his own right here. Drew says it's okay. Now, I know Caleb has a bolt for Drew's Tarmogoyf.
Drew has one for Caleb's too, I
one
think.
for Caleb's. Champions in death. Friends forever. Though Drew does have Drew can pretty sure he has a way to stop Caleb's bolt. So they will not meet each other's death. Oh. Just takes it. Or maybe it did block. And they both get banned.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It looks like he has a Spell Pierce there, but I guess he just didn't want to use it on that.
Really? On a Tarmogoyf?
I would have, but
I would have too.
maybe Tarmogoyf's not as good as we think it is in this match, but it seems very, very good.
It seems really good to me.
It does.
They're playing red cards. It's a Tarmogoyf.
More so than trying to, protect your Delver, I guess, is the other thing you could do. Unless he's so concerned about, Caleb playing something that knocks him out of the game that...
He must know about the counterbalance law.
He must. He must.
Because there's no way you make that play if you don't know about that.
Yeah. That would make sense. That he was afraid that Caleb would just drop the counterbalance and be able to lock him out. And, and he drew a Pyroblast for it. Handshake, and Drew Levin goes up 2-0, and now 5-0 in the Star City Games Invitational Baltimore.
Huh? Caleb now at 4-1.